Panthers at the Cowboys, a very interesting game here. As we sit, we have the Cowboys as 4 or 4.5 point favorites, 4.5 at MGM, FanDuel, 4 at DraftKings. Total of 51.5 at DraftKings, sitting 50.5 FanDuel and MGM. Points bet at 50.5 as well. Guys, we have a Panthers team that has done what has been asked of them. Now, people are going to point to the strength of schedule and the teams that they have played. Well, you can only play the teams that are in front of you, and they have gone out and they have handled business as we sit right now. The Cowboys, on the other hand, have gone out and really surprised on the defensive side of the ball. We all knew that this team was going to be able to play offense. What we did not think that was this team was even going to be able to play suitable defense, and so far, they've even been better than that. If they can just play middling defense, I think that this team is going to be a pretty interesting team here. We do have a bet on this one. Steven has a bet in. But Brad, let's start with you on this. A couple of thoughts here. Panthers and Cowboys.
Yeah, I think that the Cowboys might be a legitimate Super Bowl contender.
Funny you say that, because I put in a Super Bowl future on them yesterday, actually.
Yeah, I've got a little bit of that in the account as well. I mean, we start with defense. Obviously, it was shocking last year, and I think some of that was the coordinator. You know, the talk coming out of the Cowboys was that they didn't know the scheme. They were kind of confused. They were playing slow, and it just all seems to be the opposite now, right? It seems like they're playing fast. They're all running downhill. It's a simple scheme. They're 15th in DVOA. Defensive DVOA, despite a tougher than average schedule. They're forcing a top 5 amount of throws into tight windows. And they have been banged up as well, like, missing DeMarcus Lawrence, missing quite a few defensive linemen for the last couple of weeks. But it's not seemed to matter. And then obviously the offense is, an elite unit. I think it's first in the entire league in early down success rate. They've gone up and down the field against whoever they've played. They run the ball, they pass the ball. It's elite, however you look at it. So I think this is like a 13-win team, and I've not really upgraded the Panthers too much. Obviously they probably outperformed what we expected before the season, but I think they still have glaring flaws. On the offense, they're dead last in the NFL in pass block win rate. So again, I talked about the Cowboys D playing faster. So I think there's a good chance they get in Sam Darnold's face here. On the defensive side of the ball, they've faced the 3rd easiest schedule in the NFL. And, that's probably one of the reasons they are top in defensive DVOA. But they've been throwing a lot of complex blitzes at young quarterbacks like Zach Wilson. But I think if you can block them up, if you're an experienced quarterback, an experienced O-line, and you block up these blitzes, then they can definitely be had on the back end. They lost JC Horn last week. They brought CJ Henderson in to play corner, but he's been there 4 days. I don't know if he's even going to play, and if he does play, how well he's going to play. So I do believe that they can block these blitzes up, and that then sort of Dak, CeeDee Lamb, and Amari Cooper, I think they're going to have what they want in that secondary. So I think there is value on -4 as it sits right now.
Steven, you actually have a bet in your account on the Cowboys in this one. Is this more about the Cowboys and you believing in them, or is it more about you not believing in Carolina, thinking that maybe they're a bit of a paper tiger?
I rarely lay it with a team on a short week facing a team that's coming off a mini bye here, but few teams have impressed me more versus our preseason expectations than the Dallas Cowboys. I've been really impressed with them. I think Kellen Moore's offensive game plan has changed each week based on the opponent. If you look at week 1, Dak just checked out of a ton of runs, threw it 58 times, almost upset the Buccaneers. Week 2, 27 pass attempts, 31 runs, won the game. Week 3, did the opposite of what I expected them to do, considering we all thought the Eagles' strength on defense was their defensive line, ran it straight down their throats 41 times and averaged more than 5 yards per carry. So this is a balanced elite offense, top 10 in pass DVOA, top 3 in rush DVOA, and played some pretty good opponents to start the year here. And you mentioned the defense with Dan Quinn coming in as the new defensive coordinator. They're forcing turnovers, yes, but they're also 8th in EPA per play. They're 14th in success rate. Kind of what you guys said. Just give me an average defense with this elite offense, and I think they can be Super Bowl contenders. So I really like them this week. I bet them earlier in the week at -4.5. There's actually some -4s out there as we record this right now. And I'm not sure I can get there quite yet on the Super Bowl, but I do think I'm going to lock in NFC futures for them. I think the NFC path is actually a little bit tougher than the AFC as we sit right now, considering the Chiefs have looked a little bit vulnerable on defense. But with the Cowboys' schedule and playing in a really easy division, if they can get the 1 seed in the NFC, then they're not going to have to play the 2 or the 3 seed until the NFC Championship game and only have to win 1 game there in the playoffs, potentially against a wild card team, to get us to the last leg of those NFC futures. So I like this team moving forward, and they get a Panthers team this week without their best offensive weapon in Christian McCaffrey. They lost their star rookie cornerback, J.C. Horn, and their backup corners have looked weak. They're all giving up. Other than, one side, the guys that are going to replace J.C. Horn are all giving up a passer rating of more than 100 in their careers and in recent seasons. So a lot to like here for the Cowboys, not only this week, but moving forward.
Listen, there's been some individual players on this Carolina defense that have certainly shined so far, and I'm not going to take anything away from this defense. And I think this team will be perfectly fine moving forward. This is just a incredible step up in competition from what they've gotten so far. You get the Jets in week 1 in Zach Wilson's first start. You get the Saints with Jameis Winston, who, again, we're not sure that Jameis Winston can do anything in the NFL anymore as it is anyway. And then you get Davis Mills making his first start in the NFL for the Texans in week 3. Now you get Dak Prescott, a top 5 quarterback in the league, stepping in with an offense that's been absolutely humming and a defense that all credit to Dan Quinn in the world, right? I mean, he has figured out what to do with this defense. I mean, it's a pretty bold move to use a first-round draft pick on a middle linebacker and go, oh, by the way, go play defensive end, which is what he has done with Micah Parsons so far, because he understands that, like, I'm going to keep my best players out there and I'm going to put them in positions where they can help this team the most. And doing something like that is just absolutely, it's unheard of. 10 years ago, you would never do that. And then he's like, look, I'm going to do this. I'm going to put my best player in a position where he can help this team out the best. And it's worked out so far for this team. And so, I stuck in a Super Bowl future here because I think they win this week, and I think the number is going to be gone forever. And so I didn't want to let this number pass, and I wanted to get it in there. Like you mentioned, Stephen, I think they have an inside. I actually think they have a pretty decent shot at the 1 seed now with the way that this has started to shake out. And if that's the case, they could make some noise, especially if this defense continually improves over the course of the season. Remember, they're doing this right now with a banged up Amari Cooper as well, and with Michael Gallup, who is standing on the sideline. He would be a boost to that offense when he comes back, and La'el Collins is standing on the sideline because of his 5-game suspension. So there's a lot to like about this Cowboys team here for me. So I also like the Cowboys this week. And if you want to go get a piece of them for the Super Bowl, you better go do it now, because that number is going to be gone forever come Monday. You're never going to see it again. I promise you this.
Hey, last note, at BetMGM, you can actually also bet on who will get the number 1 seed in the NFC. And I don't know if this is going to stay like this after everybody else hears this, but as we're recording this right now, the Cowboys are 16-1 to get the 1 seed in the NFC at BetMGM.
Wow, that's wackadoodle. Yeah, that is wackadoodle. That's a real good number. Go bet that. If you're in a market that you can bet that, go bet that. I can't. I'm not in the
find that.